It's in the name.
Have you ever noticed how carefully we curate our resumes, but how honestly the Bible tells stories? Matthew opens his gospel with a family tree, and it's not polished. It includes liars, adulterers, outsiders, and failures, and yet right through the messy lineage, God brings Jesus into the world. That's good news because it means God doesn't wait for perfect people before he starts working. He works through imperfect people who are willing to trust him. Your story may include chapters you wish you could erase, regrets, mistakes, seasons you're not proud of, but God specializes in redemption, not recycling. He doesn't discard broken stories, he redeems them. Jesus stepped into a flawed family line to step into our flawed lives. So today, don't disqualify yourself. Don't assume God is done with you. If God could use the people in Matthew chapter 1, he can certainly use you. This has been a word of hope.
Full person and just awesome. And one of the main reasons I'm still doing this ministry thing after 25 plus years. I'm Travis Creasy, the pulpit minister at Westgate Church of Christ. And today, as promised, we're going to be talking about some other pointers that we've received from some of our single friends. A few weeks back, I was reading the Sermon on the Mount book by Ed Gallagher, Dr. Gallagher at Heritage Christian University, and I was convicted in my heart for not doing enough to help folks who are in the single phase of their life. And we did an episode with some of the feedback from our friends and the questions that we asked them. And today, we're going to come back with a few of the other things that they told us to encourage the singles out there to keep on keeping on. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the wisdom that was passed along from our friends that are in the single season of life. First thing out the gate, I know that's what everybody was tuning in to listen, was dating and healing, right? Some things that the dating world, and I'm not in it at all, but I know that at 44, thinking of being in the dating world can seem a bit overwhelming. I don't know where I would even attempt to start. And so in no shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah, we've been out of that game for a really long time. And things are very, very different. The world is very different.
But I think our friends gave us some good things to start with.
I think they did too. The first thing that they talked about was that trauma can kind of distort your desire. So
yeah, and as long ago as it was, and I think most people can connect with this in any ways, I didn't ever like being punished for someone else's poor decisions. I remember being in the dating world and either being punished because they had a bad experience with someone else, or doing the punishment and not being able to forgive and move on from maybe a bad experience.
Yeah. And they also talked about how maybe bad circumstances would sometimes change what they felt like they were looking for in someone to date, and that wasn't always necessarily a good thing because they just had a specific person in mind that had not been a good experience, and that changed who they were looking for, and they didn't know that if that was necessarily the best thing for them.
Healing may need to happen before marriage. And this one I can 100% say that is so true. People who come to me and ask if I would be willing to do their wedding ceremony, I always require them to go through marriage counseling, because a counselor is going to ask questions that maybe, just maybe, you haven't thought of. And of course, I would advise counseling at any point in life, reaching out and kind of working through some things. But certainly in every phase of life, there may be a necessary healing before being able to move into the next phase.
Yeah. I think we talked about loneliness in the last episode. A lot of our friends mentioned loneliness. And a lot of them mentioned, not looking to marriage as a cure for loneliness. And I think that this goes right along with what they were saying about that as well, because, you know, if you're looking for marriage to cure loneliness that you're experiencing now in singleness, you know, there's a lot of bad decisions that can be made, and being lonely inside a marriage is definitely harder than being lonely outside of a marriage. So that was something that a couple of our friends said.
Pray more than you scroll. Can I get an amen?
Absolutely.
And, you know, talk about stepping on the preacher's toes, because, whoa, my big toe is hurting. But 100%, pray more than you scroll. I can speak to when I was single and I was trying very, 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 very hard to find someone. And then I finally stopped trying so hard and just prayed about it. And lo and behold, the best thing going. The total package herself, Whitney Creasy, came along. Not saying that's the way it works for everyone, because it is different. But once I began relying on God to bring the person that I need to be with, the less I spent thinking about it, and more importantly, praying about it.
So this one might be one that there's some pushback on, but we'll say it anyway. So character over chemistry. This is, so we kind of, and so did our friends, thought that it's not the best idea to just try to marry because of attraction, or try to date because of attraction only, because those are depreciating assets, right? Like, we're all getting older.
Yeah, unless you're Whitney Creasy, and then you just get better looking with age, and
not true.
All the amazing stuff.
Not true. But basing a marriage relationship on a depreciating asset is kind of not smart. So character, choose who you want to date, because that's who you will eventually marry, right? Based on their character, and not so much because of your attraction.
Playing the long game is what Whitney was saying to all the, that's a way of saying it in a man way, not mansplaining, hopefully, but playing the long game, that the character is the thing that's going to make the relationship last. And I guess I've already touched on this a little bit. You may have something extra, a little different aspect, but let go of timeline obsession. We tend to fall in the trap, whether that's from the preaching and teaching of it, that I need to have done this by this certain time. And once again, God's timing is perfect. And he's going to give you what you need when you need it. And a lot of times he's going to give you what you want when the best time is for you to have what you want.
That's right. Yeah. That's one thing that God keeps teaching me, is his timing is a whole lot better than mine. And I don't understand it a lot of the time, but I'm learning more and more to trust that.
And then we have the superpower of singleness.
Yes.
What'd you think about that?
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
I thought that was great.
Little intro there.
I thought that was great. Yeah. I thought your intro was great. And I thought that it was great that one of our friends said that singleness is kind of a superpower.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And 1 Corinthians 7 kind of backs that up if you want to go check it out sometime. But both marriage and singleness are gifts. As someone who has experienced both, there were superpowers about both things. Both were very amazing, you know, and I was one of those people that was kind of pushing the envelope. As I said, I think I was trying too hard, and maybe I didn't really reap all the benefits of that time frame of being single, because we know free to Hardeman really means find a husband university. And I had not found a wife when I graduated. So, but it is a superpower, right? They're not promises, not identities, and not guarantees. Either one of those situations, circumstances that you're in, they're going to be a little roller coastery. There are going to be difficulties. There are going to be highs. There are going to be lows. There's going to be those moments where maybe it's monotonous. But that's what we're talking about when we talk about the long yes. A marriage isn't the only long yes.
That's right. Our friends also mentioned several benefits of being single. One of them said that they can have undivided focus. Many mentioned flexibility. They mentioned being available to different ministries within their church and other ministries. One mentioned financial clarity and said that there had been some difficulty in a previous relationship with not knowing what the financial situation was because there was hidden debts and things like that. And so that was actually a freedom for this person when they became single. Even though it was a single parent, this person was really able to see more clearly and have more freedom around money. One person said forced confidence. And that really intrigued me. She talked about how that being single was something that helped her be able to build her confidence because
independence.
Yeah,
it's Bruce.
She needed to be independent. She also needed to step out and ask others to do things with her. She needed to figure some things out on her own. She needed to go places on her own. And it gave her a confidence that she didn't know that she needed and really wasn't looking for, but that was a good thing. Others talked about having really deep friendships and having freedom to serve.
I think the deep friendships, for sure, for me, I've got text groups out there of friendships that I've made and have maintained before I was married, which I'll be honest with you, I think that's one of the things people find the most difficult when maybe one friend gets married and another one doesn't. It's hard to maintain those. And we certainly don't see each other all the time. They're all now married and have kiddos of their own, but we still have that connection that we created when we were out in the single world. And then that freedom to serve, obviously, as a minister, man, that's a superpower for sure. And that was one of the cool things about being in ministry, certainly youth ministry, campus ministry, coaching, was having those people that were on as volunteers on the staff, whatever it may be, that were able to have that freedom to serve and freedom to go and do, especially in youth ministry, because you never know what you're going to do from one day to the next. And, singleness becomes immaturity only if you view it that way. I think going back to the independence statement, like you can use it as an opportunity to grow. Hopefully, once again, we've got the battle of the mammals going on right here, right now, between the golden retriever and the tuxedo cat. But you really, how you see yourself, that perception is so important.
Yeah, so we already said this, but I think it bears repeating, is marriage is not the ultimate yes. Jesus is the ultimate yes. And no one is stuck who is surrendered. So if you're surrendered to Jesus, you're not stuck. So you can't be in a position that is stuck if you're surrendered to Jesus. If you're married or single or widowed or divorced or dating or healing, we're one body, and the church is at its healthiest when married and single believers stop orbiting in separate circles and start sharing one table.
All right, Whitney, you know me, I like to have a little fun question before we close this thing out. Okay. If I can get some quiet from the dog, who doesn't ever do anything wrong.
No, she doesn't.
In trouble with Whitney. Yeah. We're in her space, not the other way around. But we talked about singleness as a superpower. Whitney, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I have two.
2,
Yeah.
I guess we'll allow it. Your name is on the podcast.
So in Harry Potter, when they can apparate from one place and just reappear in another place, I'd love to be able to do that. Just like disappear from this place and reappear wherever I wanted to be. And also, I'd really like that in Chronicles of Narnia, where Lucy has that cordial that she can heal people with. I'd like one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one you said is the absolute one that I want. I want to be able to blink my eyes and be at Challenge Youth Conference in Pigeon Forge, blink my eyes and be home, sleep in my own bed, blink my eyes, go back. Mm-hmm. Dallas, Texas, the Rose Bowl, whatever. I think that we would just do that all the time. The Walmart. I mean, but I'm at Walmart. Boom. And I'm back. That's totally the one I would take. That's really the only reason I would ever want to be president of the United States is because that's as close as you can get.
True.
To just firing up Air Force One. We're going to this ball game. We're coming back tonight and sleeping in our own bed. Whitney, you know me. I'm a former football coach. I love a good halftime speech. I love a good scene from Rocky. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. And I love to send people home pumped up and fired up. So that's what we're going to do right now to end this second episode. And so if you're single and listen to this, you are not behind. You are not immature. You're not waiting in a hallway for your real life to begin. And you are absolutely not a project.
Marriage is a gift. It reveals beautiful things about God, but it's not the ultimate yes of the Christian life. Jesus is.
Scripture tells us in 1 Corinthians 7 that both marriage and singleness are gifts, not promises, not identities, not guarantees, gifts. That means neither is superior, neither is second class. They are simply different ways of reflecting the glory of God.
Some of you deeply desire marriage. Some of you are content. Some of you are healing. Some of you are grieving the life you thought you'd have. It's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to hope. And it's okay to fully live right where you are.
And to our married friends, including us, we need to remember that the church was never meant to revolve around nuclear families. In Acts of the Apostles, we see believers sharing meals, sharing burdens, sharing life. Not married tables and single tables, just one table.
Unity doesn't come from shared life stage. It comes from shared surrender.
The ultimate yes isn't I do. The ultimate yes is, Lord, I'm yours.
And no one who is walking with Jesus is stuck.
Whether you are married, single, widowed, divorced, dating, healing, hoping, we are one body, one family, fully seen, fully known, fully loved.
Marriage is not the only yes.
And singleness is not a lesser story.
We're all saying the long yes to Jesus together.
Before we get started, we wanted to tell you about a project that's really close to our heart. We have written a brand new children's book called The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Divided Kingdom. This story uses adventure, humor, and imagination to help kids process some really big feelings that often come with divorce. It gives families a way to start honest conversations and helps kids know they're not alone. If you're a parent, grandparent, teacher, or church leader walking alongside a child through a season like this book could be a helpful resource. You can pre-order your copy now at benandtravis.com/books. That's The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Divided Kingdom, available for pre-order today at benandtravis.com/books.
Have you ever wondered if what you say or do even matters? I work at a school all day with kids whose ages range from 4 years old to seniors. I mostly see kids up through 5th grade, but occasionally have the chance to visit with the older ones. And regardless of what age you teach or what age kids you might be parenting, there are usually times when you feel like your words fall on deaf ears and your actions go unnoticed. However, you may have a difficult time convincing Andrew Kearney of that. In 2004, he was a teacher in Oxshott, England at Danes Hill School. He taught pretty young kids, and I'm sure there were days at his job that he felt like nothing was getting through. However, in reality, one of the lessons he taught in December of 2004 would end up saving the lives of over 100 people halfway around the globe from his home and school. On December 26, 2004, one of the most devastating natural disasters in recent history took place in the Indian Ocean. Somewhere off the coast of Indonesia, a 9.3 scale earthquake occurred offshore, and what followed were waves as high as 100 feet crashing onto shores all throughout the Indian Ocean territories. As a result of the massive tsunami, 227,898 people in 14 countries lost their lives. Thousands more were injured and displaced because of the loss of homes and hotels, churches, and businesses. But along Mai Khao Beach in Thailand, there were over 100 people who got to safety. They did so because of the warning of one young 10-year-old girl who knew the warning signs of tsunamis, because 2 weeks before she was paying attention in Andrew Kearney's class in Oxshott, England at Danes Hill School. He had shared black and white footage of a tsunami from the Aleutian Islands in 1946 and gave specific details of what the ocean would do in the moments leading up to a tsunami. Tilly Smith saw that the waves had stopped coming in and out and were just sort of pushing up the shore without withdrawing back into the sea. And she noticed how it was unusually frothing, all signs she heard in Kearney's class. Her parents first brushed off her warnings, but she was adamant that they needed to retreat. After an English-speaking Japanese tourist heard her say tsunami, he agreed. "I think she's right," he said. "Yeah, there's been an earthquake in Sumatra. I think your daughter's right." That was all that was needed. With the help of others on the beach, they convinced over 100 people to evacuate just before the waves crashed ashore. Tilly Smith, a 10-year-old who was paying attention, saved 100 people, and all because Andrew Kearney taught a lesson that he likely believed no one would ever need or that many might ignore. But Tilly listened. I don't know what you do every day. Maybe you have a tendency to believe that what you say doesn't matter. But as a counselor, I guarantee you it does. Your kids hear and take to heart your kind words and your harsh ones. They pay attention to your actions and the way you treat people. They may one day treat others in the same way. They notice if your actions and words at church are consistent with your actions and words at home. They will remember your warnings, your life lessons, your stupid jokes, your encouragement, and your comforting embrace. Your words or actions may never save 100 people on the beach from a tsunami, but your kids and grandkids, and even you, will come in contact with thousands of more people than that in your lifetime. And the way you treat them and the messages you relay may save them in other ways. You might save them from self-destruction. You might save them from waves of self-doubt and that are heading their way. You might rescue them from the waves of guilt or shame. You might just save their soul. Your words matter. And if you don't believe it, I bet you could ask those 100 beachgoers about what they think of Tilly Smith and the elementary teacher named Andrew that they had never met. And I'll bet they will convince you otherwise because they're literally walking proof. And that is your Friday Refresh.
Welcome into Season 4 of the Good Old Fashioned Dislike Podcast, where dynasties never die and hate is an extreme word, but just barely. On this podcast, we pick a football rivalry and we submit that rivalry to the panel of dislike. They'll come up with reasons why we like one team, dislike one team, and vice versa. By the end, we come to a conclusion of where our football loyalties lie, mainly based on non-football things, but that's what's so much fun. Be sure to tell us in the comments who you're rooting for in the Super Bowl when the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots tangle in a World Championship rematch of Super Bowl 49. These teams met for the first time on October 9th, 1977. Seattle leads the series 11-9. New England went 4-13 in 2024, and Seattle finished 10-7. Now to the professionals of dislike. This week's Golden Dislike goes out to the sports media hypocrisy. And boy, is it thick. I like both of these uniforms, but it's difficult to go against the red, white, and blue. Give us Pat the Patriot all day, like. Even the Seahawk on the helmet is not mad, just disappointed with most of Seattle's pro football history. Dislike. Pete Carroll, like. Beast Mode, like. The Beastquake, legendary. Not giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch on the goal line. You knew it was coming. An all-time dislike. Patriot and Bama legend Dante Hightower being one of the most underrated Super Bowl participants of all time. Like. Legion of Boom, like. Seattle rain invading LA when we were in town a few weeks back. Dislike. My wife's Sleepless in Seattle references. Kind of cute. Tom Brady, the GOAT. Tom Brady's flat footballs. Dislike. Patriot QB Drake May flipping from Alabama to North Carolina for college. Dislike. Bill Belichick giving Mac Jones a defensive coordinator as an offensive coordinator. Dislike. The Tennessee Titans firing Mike Vrabel. All-time dislike. The Super Bowl being hosted by San Francisco. Dislike. The 2025-2026 playoffs having comparatively poor QB play. Run the ball and play defense like it's 1990. Like. Sam Darnold in a Super Bowl. Anything is possible! Like. Jalen Milroe made it to the Super Bowl before Auburn played a playoff game. Like. Seattle grunge rock. Grungy musicians. Dislike. Rainn Wilson is from Seattle. Steve Carroll is from New England. The Super Bowl will determine the battle for Scranton. Like. John Cena is from New England, but he cannot be seen there. Like. Greg the Hammer Valentine is from Seattle. Like. Seattle is only second to Minneapolis for being the worst place to be during an election cycle. Dislike. Former Patriots head coach Bill Belichick will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, except he won't because he had to ask his girlfriend for permission to attend the ceremony. Dislike. The Browns are so bad they had Bill Belichick and Nick Saban on their staff and let them both leave. All-time dislike. Seattle destroyed Peyton Manning and the Broncos in a Super Bowl. Thank you. How is it Super Bowl 60 when Super Bowl 50 was yesterday? Dislike. It is a shame that both teams didn't lose Super Bowl 50 when the Cam Newton-led Panthers lost to the Peyton Manning-led Broncos. Dislike. That time Bo Jackson ran over Seattle linebacker, the Boz, legendary. The nearest Waffle House to the home of the New England Patriots, Gillette Stadium, is 232 miles away. The nearest Waffle House to Seahawks Stadium is 985 miles away, which means and Ohio State Buckeyes are still our Waffle House nearest to stadium champs for this season. Legendary receivers Cooper Kupp, Steve Largent, and yes, even Jerry Rice were and are Seahawks. Like. Starbucks is originally from Seattle, overpriced and a bit overrated. Patriots in the Revolutionary War. Like. It is very difficult not to like Gronk now that he is retired. Like. Gronk Spike. Like. Mac Jones taking Cam Newton's job like he was that kid in the commercial a few years back. Like. Give us New England clam chowder over Seattle oysters. Ugh. The Tuck Rule. Dislike. Richard Sherman's epic rant against Michael Crabtree. Like. Shaun Alexander, Walter Jones, and Cam Chancellor are Seahawks legends. John Hanna, Vince Wilfork, and every Travis Creasy look-alike receiver played the Patriot way. Like Matt Hasselbeck in overtime, we were taking the ball and giving the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.